A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant development following the recent White House summit on Ukraine, U.S. Undersecretary of Defense for Policy Elbridge Colby has conveyed to European allies that the bulk of responsibility for supporting Ukraine will fall on Europe. Reports indicate that the United States is prepared to offer only minimal guarantees for Ukraine, leaving European nations to shoulder the majority of the burden. This shift comes just days after President Donald Trump expressed optimism about diplomatic progress in the ongoing conflict with Russia, but the current signals suggest a more complex reality. A NATO diplomat briefed on the discussions highlighted that the U.S. is not fully committed to any substantial support, which raises concerns about the future of Ukraine's defense and the potential for a resolution to the conflict. As expectations for diplomatic progress have dwindled, Russian officials have also tempered their rhetoric regarding a ceasefire and a possible meeting between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov emphasized that any such meeting would require careful preparation, while Deputy Representative to the UN Dmitry Polansky stated that it should not be merely a meeting for the sake of appearances. This has led to a sense of frustration in Ukraine, with President Zelensky calling for a strong reaction from the U.S. if Putin refuses to engage in meaningful negotiations. Zelensky further expressed skepticism about the potential for Budapest to host the summit, citing Hungary's history of supporting Russia within the EU and its recent actions blocking Ukraine's accession process. He condemned the recent escalation of Russian attacks, including one that injured 15 people at an American enterprise in the Zakarpattia region, and called for stronger sanctions and tariffs to pressure Moscow into negotiations. A response is needed to this. There is still no signal from Moscow that they are really going to go into meaningful negotiations and end this war, Zelensky stated. In a related context, Vice President J.D. Vance has echoed Colby's sentiments, asserting that Europe should take the lion's share of peacekeeping responsibility should a peace deal with Russia be reached. The VP clarified that while the U.S. is open to discussions, it will not make commitments until the necessary steps to end the war are clearly defined. Vance emphasized the need for Europe to lead the charge in safeguarding Ukraine, while the U.S. may provide support from the air, but will not deploy ground troops. Despite the lack of concrete outcomes from the recent diplomatic engagements, Vance maintained that progress is being made, noting that discussions between Russian and Ukrainian representatives are ongoing. However, the uncertainty surrounding the nature of any potential agreements, particularly regarding territorial concessions, remains a sticking point. Zelensky highlighted the need for clarity on what Russia is willing to concede to bring an end to the conflict. As the situation evolves, it is clear that the dynamics of international support for Ukraine are shifting, with European nations being called upon to take a more active role in the peacekeeping efforts. The ongoing diplomatic efforts and the responses from both sides will be crucial in determining the future of Ukraine and the broader geopolitical landscape in Europe. With tensions still high and no clear path to peace in sight, the coming days and weeks will be critical in shaping the next steps in this ongoing crisis. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.